Welcome to the video notes for lesson 9-2. This lesson is all about translations. This begins on page 11 in your notes packet. Let's go ahead and take a look at the learning targets. So, there are a couple learning targets for this. First, I can translate a figure to its image. So translate, that's the big idea for this one. Also, I can use a rule to translate a figure to its image. And lastly, I can write the rule of a translation. Okay, so before we continue, just remember translations are slides or sliding. That is the motion that we are going to be observing with this. It is not a flip, it's not a turn, it is a slide. Okay, so we have an example on page 11, and we'll work through this together. So we're going to move the point. We're going to be moving this by sliding. We're going to follow all the directions. So, plot the point to 5, label it A. So if you want to go ahead and do this on your own, and then, actually let's do that. I'm going to, I'll plot the first point to 5, put a point there, and it says label it A. So I'm going to do that. Now we're going to follow all these other directions, and we're going to end up with a final point E. So I'm going to pause making the video. I want you to pause watching the video. When you hit play and come back, you'll see all of these things answered. So when we come back, you'll have all the answers on the screen and over here, but I want you to try it on your own first. Alright, here we go. Okay, so hopefully you were able to get the same points that I have on the screen on your paper. If not, then correct yours. Or if you think you're right, then you can certainly raise a question in class and double check my work and make sure I didn't make a mistake. So the last thing says name point E. Point E is right here at the origin, so it is the point 0, 0. If you wrote the word origin, that's okay too. But that's where you should have ended up with the last one. Notice for all of these moves, I used arrows to draw the direction and wrote numbers for the number of spaces. That's kind of a good way to help you organize what you're doing and show your work. So keep that in mind when we are doing some of the practice problems in this lesson later on. When you are creating an image and you're following directions, you can write an arrow and a number to show how much you are sliding and which direction you are going. Okay, so I'm going to clear the screen, and we're going to take a look at page 12. So, a translation or slide is a rigid motion that moves every point of a figure the same distance and in the same direction. Now, what that means is the image, and we're going to put something at the top here, the image then, so put a star, the image is congruent, so it stays the same shape and the same size, same angle measures. Remember the congruent symbol. Equal sign with a mustache above it. And same orientation. And orientation means, so if you look at this example here, we've got triangle ABC. The image A prime, B prime, C prime is in the same order, if you will. Orientation means it's the same direction or order. Okay, so triangle A prime, B prime, C prime is the image of triangle ABC after a translation of 2 units to the right and 3 units down. So if you look to go from B to B prime, we are going 2 units to the right and 3 units down. And yes, when I'm doing this on my own, I do these little jumps to show the number of spaces. Do not count the one you start on. That right there is 0 jumps. You got to count the next one as 1 and then 2. That's a mistake students make. So we go from A to A prime. The point is -4, 1 to the point -2, -2. Now, if you follow all of these, this is called arrow notation. Why? Well, because we're using an arrow to show the original point to the image. And then we can use arrow notation to write a rule. Now, what the rule is, so point A starts at the point -4, 1, or our x and our y. What do we do to the x and the y value to get our new point? Well, we add 2 to the x, so -4 plus 2 is -2, and we subtract 3 from the y, so 1 minus 3 is -2. So that's how you come up with the rule. We'll take a look at this down below, but I'm actually going to have you practice this on your own. All right, so we have another example here at the bottom. Oops, too far. Bottom of page 12. I don't see the page number at the bottom. What did I do? I must not have saved it. It doesn't matter. Anyways, so our example, describe in words the rigid motion that maps triangle A to triangle B. So here's the original figure, A, and we're going to B. So what is happening? So to go from this point here to this point, it's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces to the right. So 5, you know what, let me see, 5 units to the right. And it's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units down. Alright, so now what we're going to do is use arrow notation to describe the rigid motion that maps triangle A to triangle B. So to do this, what I want to do is I'm going to label my points on my triangles. Triangle A has points A, B, and C. Now, since the orientation is the same, this point here that's A goes with this point here, which is A prime. Here's B, this is B prime, and C goes with C prime. So, what are the points doing? So A is going from -4, 2 to A prime, which is down here, that is 1, -3. Now you can probably do the rest on your own for B to B prime and C to C prime. If you want, pause the video and then you can come back and see. Actually, I'm going to pause making the video. I want you to pause watching the video, then hit play when you're done to see how you did. Okay, welcome back. So if you completed this task correctly, you should see the same points on your paper as you see on the screen. So now the last task that you are going to do is, I'm actually going to have you finish this on your own. What is the general rule that maps triangle A to its image? So, what are we doing to these points to get these ones? And it's the same thing for all of them. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to start you out, so everybody write this down. You've got point XY, that's the original point, and you're translating or sliding it a certain way. And your rule is going to look like X plus or minus something, and Y plus or minus something. So I want to see if you can figure this out. Honestly, I think it's a pretty simple task for most of you that have been paying attention. But for those of you that aren't, why don't you go back and look at the example up above and see if you can figure it out. Good luck, and we will see you in math.